In this video, we're going to talk about the basic tools that you'll be using in a layout in InDesign. And we're starting with a grid system template that we downloaded from the CRS InDesignTemplates.com. It's free, and these are European sized, but as a template showing you how the grid works and some layouts already made, it's a good starting point. All right, so here's our file. It's a 412 column grid template. So like other Adobe programs, you can zoom in and zoom out with Command plus and Command minus. You can also zoom in and zoom out from view. All right, so InDesign is intended for multi-page documents, and so not surprisingly, it has a pages panel, and you can see that right now I have one page. You can add pages, and the default is like a publication, so you have a cover and 2-page spreads. Of course, you can use InDesign in a multitude of ways, so you could be designing one large poster. You could have a brochure that folds out into multiple panels, and they would all be next to each other. Allow document pages to shuffle. If you check that off, you can then add pages beside each other. So there are lots of different ways that you can use InDesign to meet your publication needs. But we're going to start with just one page for now, so I just shift click to select more than one page and trash them. All right, so we have a tool set similar to an InDesign or Photoshop. We have a selection tool, the black arrow, and the direct select, the white arrow, similar to Illustrator. We have our text tool, so our type tool. We're obviously going to use blocks of text in InDesign. You're going to click and drag to make paragraphs of text. So it's interesting, I've just clicked and dragged. You can see I have a cursor, so I can type into it. I can see it's wrapping, but I cannot see my text box, right? Until I click off, and now I can see that it actually does have a blue bounding box. All right, so I have this text box, and if you go into type, you can say fill with placeholder text, and this just filled my box with lorem ipsum text, so placeholder text. Now you'll see that when I expand it, it doesn't continue to fill. So if I wanted to fill it again, I would say type fill with placeholder text, and now it would go the rest. All right, so often if you were laying out a page, you might have, I'm going to Command C, Command V, make a second one. You might have 2 columns of text, and you would be reading from one to the next. So the text would be flowing from one box to another. So I'm going to go ahead and click, and in text boxes like this, a single click gets a word, 2 clicks gets a line, 3 clicks of your mouse gets the paragraph, and 4 gets the entire block of text in it. So those are selections. So at the bottom of my box, if I make it a little bit smaller, you'll see that I get this red, and I'm going to zoom in, I get this red plus sign, and that means that there's more text hidden here. And for now, I'm going to say view hide guides so that you aren't distracted by anything. Okay, so if I click that plus, you can see it now looks like I have this whole thing of text connected, and when I'm anywhere but a text box, I have an arrow, and when I hit the text box, I get the chain interlocking here, and if I click, now it is flowing. So I've connected this paragraph. If I were to make this smaller and smaller, more and more of it is showing here. So I now have linked text boxes for my body of text. Okay, so we're gonna say view guides again. So you can have snap to guide set up, which will help you align things easy, which means it kind of pulls your box or your picture over to the closest guide for you. We have the same controls under this align panel, so you get there by window. Let's see. Window, where's my object? Here we go. Object align. And you can shift click to have more than one object selected. And now I could align to top edges. You'll see those move together. Similar to Illustrator, you can align to your selection, your key object, page, spread. So if I said to the page, and now I said align bottom edges, it will move it all the way to the bottom of the page. Now note, it's using the entire box. So my box is stretching down to here, even though the text ends. So I could move my box closer to where my text ends. This time if I shift click, they'll move to the bottom. All right, so you can still do alignments. So for text, you have a rectangle frame tool and a rectangle tool. So the rectangle tool is still making solid shapes. Okay, so solid shapes. We have a fill and a stroke like we do in Illustrator and Photoshop. I have a swatches window that I can fill. These are vector shapes. My rectangle frame and my ellipse frame and my polygon frame, those are shapes intended for putting pictures into. So I'm giving it a stroke so that you can see it, but this is what you would say file place, and you would put a picture in. So that would be a placeholder for a picture as your rectangle frames, whereas the rectangle is for an actual vector shape. Another thing to note is that we changed, when I have this rectangle selected, the color is solid and the fill is none. But you can see right here beside it, I have this text icon. If I select a text box, you might assume if I pick a color that I'm changing my text. But this is really changing the box that the text is in. If I want to change, and I'm going to turn off my grids, hide guides. You can also do that key command. It's command semicolon. I actually have to select text. Now it's showing me my text fill and my text stroke. So for this box, this is my box. Or I go into my text tool, select everything by clicking, clicking, clicking. So 3 to 4 clicks. And you can see that my color is black here. If I switch it to paper, now my text is white on a pink box, and my text is white here. If I move this, oh, you can see it's on top. So just like we went over in Illustrator, you also have object arrange, and you can move things through your layers, bring to front, send to back. So for this turquoise box, I'm going to send it back, and now you can see that my white text is on front of it. So you have very similar tools as Illustrator as far as aligning objects, moving things front to back, being able to distribute items across your page. You're still dealing with color. What's important is your text formatting. You have to have text selected, and it can't just be the box. You actually need to go in and grab the text. So for instance, if I wanted just this one word, I could select just that one word, make sure I have text selected, and turn it green. All right, so those are some quick basics in Illustrator. Another thing is the rulers still work the same. You can set your guides by dragging from the corner, or they will default to 0 on the edge of your page, and you can grab guides in, drag them, move them, just as you would on other applications as well.